Good afternoon from Los Angeles and happy Friday. It's Alyssa Corum and Ed Carson here with a look at the stock market today. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Intuit, Microsoft, and Lululemon. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. We were hoping for a little bit of a bounce today, and we got a smidge of a bounce with the NASDAQ and the S&P finishing up about 0.1%. The Dow finishing up about 0.4%. The small caps up about 0.9% for the day. So the NASDAQ opened pretty strong, gained almost 1%, but we've definitely fizzled into the close here.
Yeah, it wasn't very inspiring. I mean, even that 1% gain wouldn't have been that much ultimately, right. But you would have liked to have seen some kind of bounce after the big sell-off and the NASDAQ undercutting its low on Thursday. Really not much happening there. So, I mean, obviously you have to wait and see, but it's not inspiring for any rally attempt that we got going on here.
Exactly. Well, hey, looking on the bright side, we are still holding above the 200-day, but definitely still in correction mode. So what does that mean? Well, it's not the time to be outright buying stocks, but it is the time to be adding stocks to your watch list.
Yeah, and growth stocks are acting fairly well. So if this market does turn, you do want to be ready. They're not going to be beaten down like they were at the end of last year, where you had to sort of wait, well, where are the breakouts? If we do have a turnaround soon, some of these stocks are going to break out, relatively soon.
Exactly. So always good to have that watch list ready. And let's take a look at a few individual names, starting with Intuit, which saw big gains today, gaining almost 7% in heavy volume, retaking a key technical level on its earnings report. The maker of TurboTax here, earnings growth of 16% on sales growth of 12%. So investors liking the look of this quarterly report.
Yeah, and this quarterly report is almost like the annual report, because this is where they make almost all their money.
Right.
I mean, like 90% or plus of their profits are in this quarter. So this was critical. As you say, the stock rose above its 50-day line. It's working on a flat base buy point. I mean, still got work to do. Relative strength line is moving toward the old highs. I mean, it's just acting well. I mean, so it's something to be on your watch list. It's not in a buy zone. It's not the right time to be buying anything really. But this is looking pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And let's take a look at a few other names. Microsoft is trading in a relatively tight range, although maybe not quite a 3 weeks tight pattern, given how it ended up closing today, which it was able to close about flat, actually. So it might be right within the 3 weeks tight, which let's give them just that little definition of the 3 weeks tight.
Technically, this is a 4 weeks tight.
4 weeks. There we go.
Because it's just a little variant of it. That's when it closes, with the weekly close is within 1 to 1.5% of the prior week's close, and does that for 3 straight weeks. And that just shows you it's really tight action. It's a positive sign. It's a place for existing holders to enter, not really for new investors to go into. But there's other nice things. I mean, one, our executive editor, content editor, Chris Gessel's always saying that doesn't like tight bases with little stocks like Microsoft, because it does sort of like just go up a little bit like that. But it's finding support at its 10-week line, and it's almost got a flat base. It needs another week for that, and those would provide entries for new investors.
That's right. And when you compare Microsoft to the other large cap tech stocks, I mean, this technical action is head and shoulders above what we're seeing with the likes of Apple, most notably, I think.
Yeah, and you can see the relative strength line. It's at record highs. I mean, it's not always a flash. It doesn't have those huge weekly gains, but it's been a steady winner for quite a while now.
That's right. Some strong technical action. And Lululemon, we're also going to be taking a look at a weekly chart for Lululemon. That was a weekly chart of Microsoft. It too is trading in a tight range while finding support at the 50-day.
Yeah, technically it has a 3 weeks tight, though it's a little below the high, so it makes it a little awkward, but it's finding support at the 10-week line. It's also about 4 weeks into a flat base. You need 5 weeks for a flat base. So we'll see. I mean, that's, again, acting well. It's just above a buy zone from a prior breakout. And, it's almost going to create a little base-on-base action there, and relative strength line basically at record highs. I mean, so a lot of things to like about it. If this market turns around, there are some nice stocks out there.
And a potential catalyst for Lululemon, we do have earnings on the horizon, so that's something else to watch out for. We've seen quite a streak now of double-digit growth on the top and bottom lines for Lululemon.
Yeah, Lululemon's been great. They had a whole bunch of earnings gaps, maybe people are finally pricing the fact that it's really doing well, but
Right.
this has been really the really re-accelerated growth for quite a while. It's really strong levels.
Yeah, analysts expecting annual earnings growth for the fiscal 2020 to come in at 21%. So strong growth expected.
That's solid.
All right. Well, we'll have to see if Lululemon can muster a potential breakout here on that quarterly earnings report. And for more stocks to watch and put on your watch list, we have lots of great stories coming out on investors.com, already out and over the weekend. So make sure you check those out at investors.com. And also, we have our latest podcast episode for the Investing with IBD podcast out now. So make sure you head to investors.com/podcast. David Ryan was this week's guest, and they talked all about buying what you know and how the best stock ideas are already all around you.
It was really interesting.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you right back here on Tuesday. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.